Imagine standing outside. The sky suddenly turns dark. The wind starts screaming, and within minutes, everything around you begins to disappear. This isn't a movie. This is real footage from one of the most terrifying hurricanes ever caught on camera. And what you are about to see will make you understand just how powerful and unpredictable nature really is. At exactly 12 o'clock UTC on August 25th, the National Hurricane Center released Advisory Number 13. The warning was blunt. Harvey had reached Category 4. Winds were now 130 miles per hour. Central pressure was 937 millibars and falling. The advisory did not hide behind technical language. It called for immediate action. Coastal residents were told to get out. Not tomorrow, not later, now. This was no distant threat. Hours before, the Texas Division of Emergency Management had already issued mandatory evacuations for Cameron, Hidalgo, and Willacy counties. By 3:30 UTC, the governor's office expanded those orders to Galveston, Chambers, and Brazoria. FEMA's regional office followed with a sweeping advisory for every high-risk stretch of Texas coastline. The message echoed across radio, cell phones, and highway signs: leave the evacuation zones or risk everything. Sirens wailed as police cruisers rolled through neighborhoods. Buses lined up at pickup points. Families loaded their cars in the dark, headlights cutting through thickening clouds. On every major route inland, traffic crawled bumper to bumper. Some people clung to their homes, hoping the forecasts were wrong. But the bulletins kept coming, each more urgent than the last. Shelters opened in 12 inland counties. Emergency managers pleaded with holdouts to move. Across the coast, the sense of normalcy snapped. Routine vanished, replaced by a single command: evacuate. The science was clear, the danger was real, and the clock was running out. The advisory's words still hang in the air. Residents in the immediate coastal zone of Texas and Louisiana should prepare for catastrophic flooding. Mandatory evacuations have been ordered for several coastal counties. For those who stayed behind, the warnings would soon become memory, drowned out by the roar of the storm itself. Follow Atmosphere for more real, extreme weather footage. Out over the Gulf, the ocean wasn't just warm, it was blazing. Sea surface temperatures soared past 30 degrees Celsius, hotter than the August average by a full degree. That is all it takes. The surface of the water became a furnace, feeding Harvey with endless fuel. Satellite heat maps lit up in deep red, tracing the storm's path toward the coast. But it was not just the water. The wind above the surface, from sea level up to the clouds, barely changed direction. Vertical wind shear dropped below 10 knots. The air layers moved in lockstep, letting Harvey's core stay perfectly aligned. Nothing to tear it apart, nothing to slow it down. Humidity in the mid-levels of the atmosphere at 700 millibars climbed above 80%. The air was thick, saturated and heavy. Every cubic meter was loaded with moisture, ready to unleash. No dry air to choke the engine, no relief. A meteorologist's voice cuts in. This is the recipe for disaster. Warm water, low shear, high humidity. When they line up, storms explode. Harvey's winds jumped 35 knots in just 24 hours. That is the definition of rapid intensification. Radar scans caught the outer eye wall forming, a ring of thunderstorms wrapping tight. For a brief moment, the storm's power plateaued as the inner eye was replaced, but the pause did not last. The energy kept building. Forecast models scrambled to keep up. Each new run showed higher winds, lower pressure, a tighter spiral. The numbers outpaced every warning. By the time the eye wall finished cycling, Harvey was a monster, Category 4, winds screaming at 130 miles per hour. The science was clear. The threat was real. And while the data poured in, cameras were already rolling, about to capture what no forecast could truly show. 1312 UTC, Houston. The GPS stamp pins it. 29.7604 north, 95.3698 west. Category 4. The lens belongs to Luis Martinez, a storm chaser who has spent years chasing monsters, but nothing like this. His drone lifts above the city, steady for now. Then, the world unravels. Clouds collapse into a spinning wall. The sky goes greenish black, so dark it feels wrong. On the audio, the wind is already screaming, then a new gust slams in, peaking past 150 miles per hour. The sound is not just loud, it is a roar that drowns out everything. You cannot hear your own thoughts. All that is left is the storm. Sheets of rain whip sideways, blurring the horizon. Debris launches across the frame, shingles, branches. A metal sign spinning end over end. The surge front rolls in, a wall of water pushing up from the bay. In seconds, streets vanish. Trees bend, snap, disappear into the chaos. The camera shudders, struggling to hold focus. Every second, the wind grows more violent. The drone sensors record a blackout. Visibility drops to near zero. For a moment, nothing but gray and noise. No landmarks, no sky, just the inside of the storm's engine. A burst of static hits the mic. The wind's pitch shifts, higher, almost shrill. Power lines whip overhead, sparking in the gale. The city's outline flickers, then goes dark. The only light left comes from the storm itself. Lightning or maybe transformers blowing out. Impossible to tell. The metadata burns in the corner. 1312 UTC. Houston. Category 4. Storm chaser Luis Martinez. Credit on screen. This is not a simulation. This is not a movie. This is what a real hurricane does when it arrives at full strength. The audio peaks. The frame shakes. And just as the wind seems ready to tear the world apart, the footage cuts, leaving nothing but the sound of the hurricane still roaring as the story moves inside. The Garcia family's world narrows to 4 walls. At 1832 UTC, the storm is no longer outside, it's in the house. The parents, Luis and Mariela, huddle with their children, Ana and Mateo, on the living room sofa. The camera shakes in Luis's hand, catching the ceiling as it starts to bow. The wind outside is a freight train. Every blast rattles the drywall. The lights flicker, then die. Only a single flashlight beam cuts through the dark, dancing across wet floors, jagged cracks overhead, the terrified faces of the kids. Water rushes in from under the door. In minutes, it is ankle deep, then up to the children's knees. 2 feet of muddy surge, swirling with debris, swallowing furniture, turning every step into a fight to stay upright. A crash. Plaster drops from above. The ceiling gives way, raining insulation and dust. Mariela's scream is swallowed by the roar. Ana clings to her brother, eyes wide, shivering in soaked pajamas. Luis tries to shout instructions, but his voice is lost in the chaos. The flashlight slips, plunging the room into total blackness. For a moment, there's nothing but the sound of water and the wind's howl, a darkness so complete it feels endless. 7 hours pass. The house groans with every gust. The children drift between exhaustion and panic. That's hot, their teeth chattering from the cold. The parents wrap them in towels, holding them close, willing them to stay awake. Hypothermia creeps in. The walls shudder again. Outside, the storm rages on, indifferent to the fear inside. When the rescue team finally arrives, both kids are alive, with minor cuts and bruises, still breathing. Luis and Mariela are barely conscious, skin pale, lips blue, but they survive. The footage ends not with relief, but with stunned silence. What was once a home is now a ruin. Survival is not victory. It is what is left when everything else is stripped away. Footage provided with explicit consent. The Garcias lived. Follow Atmosphere for more real extreme weather footage. Right now, storms grow faster and fiercer. The next warning siren could split the silence of any night, anywhere. Nature doesn't negotiate. Survival demands we listen, prepare, and never underestimate what is real. The footage is proof. Stay alert, stay alive. Follow Atmosphere for more true moments when the sky turns against us